Welcome back to Fox5 Amplified, and Karla Salinas is with us. And as you know, Karla is our, correspondent that goes through all the police academies, fire academies throughout the Valley. This time you spent some time with Henderson Police.
That's right.
And this was out on the firing range, or it was kind of learning when to use the weapons, or how did that all work?
Yeah, so, and I don't know that that's my official title, okay, but yes, I have been doing quite a lot of these where I go to these sort of recruiting, workshops and see how recruits train and stuff. And so we went out to the firing range this time with Henderson PD, and we're following a recruit right now who we saw on day one of his physical training to now it's been several weeks. And so this marks a major milestone, and they're learning how to use their weapons and learning about use of force and when it's appropriate and when it's not. And so part of that is we went out to the shooting range, and at first we saw these recruits sort of in the classroom. And, the sergeant is kind of no longer drilling them, I will say. I mean, he is asking some tough questions, and he is, expecting a lot of these recruits. But like we saw in that first package, they're no longer yelling at them. They're no longer doing this physical training that, requires that much yelling. And so they're in the classroom and they're learning about, how to fire, how to safely put their weapon away as well. And then we saw them get on the field too. We kind of had to put on some ear protection. Yeah, we had to put on our vests, and we saw them fire. And it was really interesting to see how far these recruits have come, really, in their journey.
Because the idea here, I mean, they can be in the classroom so much, but you really, until you're out there with a live firearm in your hand, and feeling the recoil and everything else that goes on when you fire a gun, it takes a lot more thought behind it than you probably would think. So they've been sitting in classrooms learning a lot about it. Now they're trying to put it to use.
That's right. And, part of that is they also have to be able to think, on the spot as well when there's adrenaline pumping. And so at first we saw them, fire their rounds, and there was corrections also made by, the sergeant and the TAC officers that are there. And, there's like encouragement going on and sort of like, hey, you need to fire a little bit closer to this, and really inspiring confidence really in these recruits. But then after that, that's when the real challenge came. And so we saw recruits kind of run back to where the sort of home base was. And then one by one, each recruit had to come out and then run from back there to where we were at, where they were firing those guns. And they had to first do some squats, they had to do some push-ups, they had to run, all while there's that alarm sounding. And then also you have a TAC officer yelling at them too, like, hurry up, you have people counting on you, hurry up. And then finally they get to where they're supposed to fire the gun, and there's still that siren blaring, and they have to listen for a command. So we saw them, try to really hone in and focus on the voice of the sergeant saying, 3 blue, and then they would hit the target, and they had to choose which target to hit in a split second.
Well, firing your firearm as an officer is one of the biggest, if not the biggest decision you could make, especially when there's another human on the other end of it. So they do take this very seriously, and I think sounds like what they're trying to do is, kind of cut through the noise. So that if you do have to pull out your firearm and maybe use it, that you are, focused on the one thing you should be using it on, not everything else. I mean, think about the scenes where an officer would have to use their gun. I mean, it's going to be a chaotic situation almost 100% of the time. Something else is going on. There's more stuff going on with that person. So they're trying to get it, down to a science as to when to use it. So this is is this sort of like the middle of for that recruit? Is this sort of like the middle of his journey, or?
It's sort of beginning middle, but still we really got to see how far he's come in just, those couple of weeks. I think the day that we first met him, he was in for a rude awakening, and you could tell right away. I mean, he was not expecting to be yelled at. You could see it in his eyes. He was like, he felt like he looked like he had seen a ghost. He was terrified. And then when we interviewed him now, a few weeks later, he was like, yes, it's chaos, but it's so necessary because, we're going to be put in these situations. Like right now, it's a controlled environment and we're making our mistakes now. But the moment that we leave here, it's uncontrolled and anything can happen. So we have to make sure that we're ready to respond, in case that does happen. And so I've seen so much maturity. He was a UNLV football player too. Okay. So he was used to the physical training, but he said that this was a completely different level of training.
Hey, you don't think about that, but they go through a lot of training. Unfortunately for the police officers, they get that. Some of them get they sit around and eat donuts and no, they are training and doing all this to be physically fit, almost as much as some of the armed forces do. So he goes through this, and now he's got a little bit of more time to go, and then he'll graduate and be on the street.
That's right. And just so far, there's been 11 people or 11 recruits that did drop out. Yeah. And it's interesting.
They drop out or they get kicked out? Or you don't know?
It's a mix.
Okay.
It's a mix.
I just wondered.
Most of them did drop out, and they were telling me, one of the reasons is sometimes it's physical training. They just couldn't hack it. And then sometimes they did tell me that there was a couple of people who were like, well, you know what? After hearing you guys talk, I don't know that I'm ready to fire a firearm. I don't know that I'm ready to take someone else's life if my own or somebody else is dependent on it. I don't think that I could do that. And so they dropped out. But I think it's not until you're put in that situation that you're like, oh, okay, I don't think I can do this. And so it takes a lot.
In addition to all the other calls that they'll take that may not even involve a firearm, but just involve helping the public or, a lot of times they're dealing with mental health and other issues that they have to be trained on. So we appreciate all the training they do. And so after doing this, this is the firearms part of it, you went through Metro's Academy a little bit. That's where you really got beat up.
And everybody at the station
would
love
to remind her of that when she couldn't take it. And then I think you also did some fire stuff too.
That's right. Yeah.
Is there another career here, maybe as a first responder?
After doing all of these, I really have to give them my props and their flowers. I think that I don't think that I could do what they do. It takes a lot. And, with the Metro getting beat up, yes. And, but even the fire department, they're training out in the heat and they are putting on those suits. And yes, they protect from the heat, but it is hot in there and it is heavy. And it's a lot of adrenaline. That I don't think that I could do. It takes a special kind of person, and we're just lucky that we have people like that in our community that are willing to do that, because the Lord knows I couldn't.
So will you catch up with this person again? Are you following them all the way through the process?
Yes, we're hoping to catch up with them again, and hopefully they're a little bit farther on in the process. But we're hoping to capture all of the major milestones. I'm not sure which one the next one will be. But probably in a couple of weeks, we'll check back in with Anthony and see how he's doing and how he's progressed.
All right, Karla. Well, thanks for coming in and sharing this with us. If you want to see all of Karla's work, fox5vegas.com, Fox5 Vegas Plus. You can find her work there, and then we'll see what we see next time.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for having me, Tom.